I did the trunk shows for 2 years, and our sales exploded at 978% increase.
That's really cool. Kim Roxie, founder of LAMIK Beauty, clean, vegan makeup for the skin tones the beauty industry keeps ignoring. And her customers, they keep saying the same thing.
One of the biggest compliments is when the customer is like, finally, right? Finally, I have a color that shows up on my face. Finally, there's a product that'll fill in my eyebrows and give me eyebrows back that look like my hair. Finally, I found a mascara that does not irritate my sensitive eyes. Be the brand that they say, finally.
Women of color spend 80% more on cosmetics than others, and yet only about 10% of the shelf space in beauty stores is actually dedicated to that.
McKinsey did a report, and they said that there's $2 billion that's out there to be captured by the market, but they can't get the solutions. And so with an independent brand like ours, for instance, we might have some of those solutions, but if we don't get on shelves for those customers to see the solution, then, it's hard for them to get to it.
What, in your experience, was the most expensive mistake that you made? Kim, thank you so much for jumping on, Kim Roxie. I am super excited to have you on. We've done a couple episodes now where I've got to talk to a couple different kind of really leaders in the retail industry, but really around like AI controls. I'm really excited to really get to know you on kind of the small business and the growth that you have seen, because you started off from really a grassroots style of business. And I think that's kind of the American dream right there, is starting off small and being able to, punch through every single challenge, single thing that has come your way to find the success that you have today. Just like for a little bit of background, I understand that you spent nearly, I think it was like 2 years personally doing trunk shows through like JCPenney, and really just like having to fight tooth and nail to earn your spot in beauty aisles. So first question to really start things off, why did you choose to kind of take that kind of grassroots approach, boots on the ground? Like what made you go with that? And what did those DIY in-store demos really teach you about breaking in when, especially the odds and even the budgets are so stacked against you?
Yeah. So, Keenan, I definitely like to say that, like, I started from the bottom, in regards to what you mentioned, the truck show. So, LAMIK Beauty is a beauty company that really looks at what we're using on our skin. So, we are what you call a clean vegan makeup brand, made in America, made in the US. Particularly, a lot of the products are made in my hometown of Houston, Texas.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then we ship and distribute from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what I will say is that for us, I remember, wanting to get my products inside of JCPenney Beauty, for instance. And I was a part of something called 13 Loom, which was like a distribution mechanism that they created for BIPOC founders. And that dissolved with JCPenney. And I was trying to and I was only online on jcpenney.com. I was trying to get the store, and I met with the buyers, and they said, well, we're not sure, because I didn't have a big retail footprint. They were like, but we're willing to do a trunk show with you. Let's see how that goes. And so I did the trunk show, and I did the trunk shows for 2 years, and really just showed, the difference that I would make if I was actually in store, and how it would benefit the whole department. And so I went store to store. And so this past March, we just launched in 20 JCPenney stores. We just did a rollout in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. And we went and rolled out into the stores that we did the trunk shows in. And just last week, I did a launch event inside of stores, and our sales exploded at 978% increase from us being in store doing those events, drumming up business, very grassroots. And we believe in high touch. So we meet, love to meet our customers, love to educate them. We educated the teams. We made sure our placement was right. It's just been amazing the way we've been able to roll this out. And to be honest, I want it to be a blueprint, for another independent brand who, a lot of times one doesn't have the capital to just put their products in retail, but definitely have the product that's needed in retail. And so that's what I hope that we could do. So sometimes you don't know that you're like pioneering this way, but you do it, and then you're like, wait, I think I figured out a strategy. So that's how I feel about that.
That's really cool because I mean, we're in kind of what I would say is like our technology first era that we're in right now of like, yeah, everything needs to be available online. You need to be integrated with DoorDash and Uber and all these things. I think it's really refreshing actually to see kind of an old school approach still being successful. If you're really willing to put the work in, you can still find that same success or even better. I mean, yeah, I think that is a huge. I was reading through some of the notes. I think one of the things that you specifically made note of is one of the things that we are missing in business, but even like society in like as a greater note is that intimate connection.
Mhm.
And so I think doing a trunk show, being a very high touch, high engagement brand where, I mean, it reminds me of, I don't shop at Sephora very often, but I do often. When I do, it's usually for my girlfriend. And I know nothing about makeup. Like that is so not my forte. But I do love specifically when I go to stores like that where the employees are ready and willing to assist you. They have the information. I mean, I'm again, I'm just a man. I don't do my makeup very often, but like to know that I can trust the employee, I
Mhm.
get the feeling that that is something that you and your team really highly like prioritizes the knowledge sharing and being able to bring that directly to those customers and get them excited about what you're bringing to the table.
Absolutely. And finally, and be the brand that they say finally.
They get it.
Yes, one of the biggest compliments is when, one of the beauty advisors at the stores that we're at or a customer is like, "Finally," right?
Mhm.
Finally, I have a color that shows up on my face that, like, I can use on my brows. We're known for our brow product. And finally, there's a product that'll fill in my eyebrows and give me eyebrows back, that look like my hair. Like, finally, I found a mascara that does not irritate my sensitive eyes. Finally, like, so that's what we find, finally, I found a brand that actually has videos on how to apply the makeup on the packaging. So every one of our packages, there's a QR code and there's a how-to video of how to apply the product. And because believe it or not, Keenan, you saying, "I don't know much about makeup," most of our customers feel the same way. They like, "I don't know much about makeup. I just know that, I want it to enhance me, but I don't even know how to put it on." And so we found so much success in putting these how-to videos on the packaging. We have it on our shelf in the display in the store, so people can go there right in that moment and look it up and see how to use it. So we use technology. We're technology first as well in regards to, we started off D2C, direct to consumer. So now we're in retail. And so for us, it is very important that our customers feel safe within our brand and feel seen. And so, those are the kind of things that we do to make sure that they're equipped. So rather it is a customer that's just browsing or there's a beauty advisor there, which for instance, our JCPenney locations, there is a beauty advisor that's there that's able to they're educated on the brand, but they're also able to get more information, even just based on our shelf display, because there are QR codes, there are, information, things that help to bring and download more of what they need. But I find that our customers concentrated on their education. Our customer is more of a professional working woman. And so she's not big on like how to apply things. So we make it really easy for her by putting those instructions even in our packaging.
Very cool. And like, I think that is, I mean, that really does come back to kind of that key value, which is that knowledge transfer. And I think that's a really good point. You still are very technology forward. Like we talk about grassroots campaigns as a very, yeah, a kind of an old school, no technology, like pedal to the or foot to the sidewalk. But it is still like you can still leverage all these things, the modern tools that we have to still kind of bring that success and grow in that way. So let's change gears a little bit, or kind of in that same line. So your story really kind of has a, I think some people would describe as a little bit of an unusual arc where you ran a local makeup store in Houston for 14 years. And then you closed it actually to launch LAMIK as tech enabled direct to consumer brand.
Mhm.
Take us back to that decision point. What made you walk away from a brick and mortar business that you had already built in order to go digital, and then kind of scale your product line? Like what drove that?
Yeah, I really saw the reckoning that was happening um, in the brick and mortar model. So this was 2018. And I just really, one was, I felt like this nudge from God for me, that was more like, there's more. We were selling, we were great. We had clientele coming in. We were in the most wealthiest neighborhood in Houston, Texas, River Oaks. And I really felt like, yeah, we're at the height of this, but, like, I don't see the vision for where that can go next. I do see the vision of how well our product line is doing, and I do see in the marketplace that there is no brand that's clean and vegan that can, show up on every skin tone and that has the same message as us, and that's being made in the US as us, and I said, we need to launch this itself. And so I did that really scary thing. I shut down what was working. And that's crazy, right? Because, who the heck wants to shut down something that's working? That's where you're supposed to get comfortable or whatever. And it was like I was the exact opposite. I had a vision for no. And I remember telling someone, one of my customers, because she was asking me, she said, "Oh, you must have something up your sleeve, like what's next?" And to be honest, I really didn't. I had to go explore what was next. But and Kina, you must can identify with this. But I remember telling her in particular, I had no answer but this. I said to her, she said, because she started to kind of like really sort of like ask questions. And I started to get irritated because I didn't really have any answers for her right then. Um, and I finally said to her, I said, "I'm building the makeup line for 2020." And then she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yes, I'm building the makeup line for 2020."
You had the goal, you had the end result kind of in mind.
Yeah, but we know what happened in 2020, right? And we
Yeah.
know, so in 2020, I closed down my brick and mortar and I moved out to Austin. I was in Houston. And I moved out to Austin and I went and joined a pre-accelerator I got accepted into. And then I got accepted into an accelerator, a venture capital backed accelerator. And I went, that's why I was like, we're technology, like that's where I come from. I come from being in tech accelerators. And it's like a beauty company I'm putting through a tech accelerator, beauty products. But from that, we created AI powered quizzes. Before everybody was talking about AI, 2020, I was set up on my website. We were doing virtual try on. I had the virtual try on technology through this company, that they used it on my platform, and customers able to virtually try on their product to get matched with the right product. And then we have something else where customers would upload their picture so they could get the right foundation match for their skin tone.
Ooh,
And
okay.
so all of this happened from me being in the accelerators. And this was March 2020, and I was supposed to launch at South by Southwest in Austin. But obviously, South by Southwest got canceled, all of these things. But I was thinking I was going to launch in person because, again, my mindset was just like, I'm doing these digital things, but it's going to launch in person. Well, when all of it got canceled, we launched everything online. And I started doing this live shopping show on Facebook. And that's how I launched LAMIK in March of 2020 of this.
Really?
Go back and look, and I say I was launching the makeup line for 2020. That is what God was having me do. And I did not know because in my mind, again, I could not fathom like what I was doing was working. I have this makeup shop. I'm doing makeup. I have do eyebrows. And it was like, no, you're going to build this makeup brand, but it's going to definitely be technology first. And it's going to be built in a way to where it's sustainable for the climate in which we live in 2020. So I didn't know the pandemic was coming, but it sure did look like I knew.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, because with that original goal, building the makeup brand for 2020, no one could have planned for a international devastating pandemic to shut down everything, destroy in-person communication. I mean, I was really lucky to keep my job through the pandemic. I know a lot of people didn't. And so to have a brand that gets released right at the start of it, and I mean, I knew a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, that really could not keep up. They had to shut down right away. I knew a lot of people's dreams kind of were kind of destroyed because of that. To hear and see a brand th- I'm sure you had your struggles going through this, but to really thrive through that, to reach where it is today, I mean, that's an incredibly inspiring story that I think many more people need to hear about, going forward. I think that's such a fantastic kind of building point. Also, the choice to shut down, most of the time, the rule is if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
We're breaking shit around here.
We're breaking it, like, but I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of adage of like, if you break something, it comes back stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so, um, I just like, that's such an inspiring story. Let's then talk about then the kind of these trunk shows, this, in-person strategy. So when did the JCPenney, or really just the, almost like, I feel like that's almost like an MLM sales strategy to start with, of doing these kind of in-person demos and sales. For the audience who doesn't know, the general term for a trunk show is meaning that in retail, basically when a brand brings their own merchandise into a store for a day and just sells directly to customers. If you've ever been to like, any big wholesaler, or JCPenney, Kohl's, like a lot of those brands, there will often be like some individual non-associated brands at the front with their table, and they'll try and pitch stuff to you. So, Kim, how did you even propose this idea to JCPenney and Nordstrom? And logistically, what did that involve on your end? Like, are you walking in with a suitcase full of makeup, or did you have a contact with them? Like, what did that kind of process look like?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So when we do walk in the store with our own product, and so
Mhm.
literally pulling it out the trunk, putting it on the shelf. But we also look at it when it comes to the trunk shows, the the idea of, sort of bringing it out your trunk, bringing it inside the store, sell what you sell, the what you don't sell, you take back with you, right? And this concept really came from designers. This concept of was really came from designers. So high-end stores a lot of times did this to try out different designers to see if it'll work or not. Uh, because there was so much investment on, and you want to see, can everybody win on the upside with it? So like, for instance, Neiman Marcus and Saks Fifth Avenue and Nordstrom are known for doing trunk shows. So like, for instance, for Nordstrom, this is just the way they operate because they're so used to designers, they do this. In beauty, a little different. In beauty, they didn't do trunk shows as much, but definitely the designer clothes and shoes and handbags and all of those things. They do those trunk shows, perfumes, they do those trunk shows. And so this actually came from something from a more prestige standpoint. And let me be clear, LAMIK is a prestige makeup brand. We're not a mass brand. We are more of a prestige makeup brand. And so because in beauty you have mass and you have prestige, right? So with that being said, with Nordstrom, so for instance, we're on Nordstrom.com. Um, but we got selected to be a part of their beauty trend events. And so I've been traveling across the country with them. We have a trunk show coming up this week, actually, at a Nordstrom in Houston. And so that'll be a trunk show there where people will be able to experience the product, is actually experience the product. So you actually get it demoed, actually get it applied to your face. So customers' reactions can be seen in real time from the store teams. And then we can, check the data points, see what colors sold in different regions, which product sold in a certain store, the time of day. Like sometimes we do the trunk shows at different times of day to sort of match different measure that happens there. So the trunk shows are just great for data collection. They're great for experiential, experiences for the customer, for them to experience things. But to get there, one of my ops person, Teresa, who's on my team, she reached out to Nordstrom, got us a meeting with the buyer, and we pitched our brand. And we pitched it, and they said, we'll try it on Nordstrom.com. And then that's when they said, can we do trunk shows? And they said, yes. And then with JCPenney, we had, with them, we were under the situation where we were online with them and we wanted to get in store, and we said, can we do trunk shows? We did. And then we were able to go inside actual physical stores with them. So it's all about trunk shows to me are about strategy, and it's about discovery. And it helps you to learn a lot and to see if this is a good area for you to invest in. And so that's how I was able to do that.
Gotcha. That sounds like still a lot of work to reach that point. Like, because I think a lot of people, especially those who don't work in small business, they look at like when a small brand is able to really find success and grow, they look at it as like, oh, that must have, like, look how easy you made that look. And that's really, it sounds like really easy, but this is years and years of work that you are grinding for. I mean, hours per week. I know for a lot of business owners, they're pushing 60, 80, even more. Were you going through the same, especially like, I feel like you definitely would be like during COVID and everything.
Yeah, like just period. I mean, every waking hour is on my business,
Yeah.
Anything else is like making a hard decision to do something else. Like every minute, every hour is dedicated towards it. And to get on shelf, let me just tell you this. I always say this to people. I say, who else do you know that has their brand inside of a major retailer? And you're thinking, you're like, nobody. Exactly.
Ta-da.
That's what your odds are, right? It's sort of like one in a million. I mean, it's not common at all for you to know anyone brand that's inside of stores that you shop at.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the failure success rate is such a huge gap because we don't talk about, like, in the industry, about how many like small businesses fail. And that's because that's a really common thing. And so, yeah, I mean, because I think there's a different level of investment. Like when we talk about big brands versus small, like locally owned, family owned businesses, what is the time and energy investment of a CEO of a massive company versus, yeah, you who's trying to get your business off the ground? For a CEO of a company, they might invest like $1 million, but the energy and the thought that they're putting towards that is minimal. Whereas you and other small business owners, this is your livelihood at the end of the day. This is if you get to pay rent or make the payments on your house. Like this is your life that you're having to build and pay for through this. So I'm always blown away by a small business owner who is able to find that success. And yeah, absolutely. Every waking minute having to be dedicated to getting it done, getting the, moving the needle to find that same success. And
Mhm.
actually on that, the note of like brands, I think especially in the beauty industry, there are a lot of, you giants in the
Mhm.
industry that are really kind of closed off. They got deep pockets. They're
Mhm.
just trying to make a buck at the end of the day. I mean, that's because that is really what a lot of our economy is based around. You've pointed out that even getting onto a store shelf requires some serious upfront money, from designing custom displays to funding
Mhm.
inventory. How have you managed to compete in that environment as a self-funded or modestly funded founder? Like, do you have to get creative with your financials? Do you have to negotiate different terms to make these retail partnerships feasible? Because again, yeah, it's a different thing if it's two CEOs shaking hands on a golf course saying, "Let's get this product out there." For you, I mean, I assume it has to be like at times it's a tooth and nail fight to get your brand up on the shelves.
Yeah, it is, and it takes a lot of, relationship building.
Mhm.
So relationship building is really important. Putting the pieces of the puzzle together, really showing how you can elevate or amplify that retailer as well. So I also think it versus it always being them giving you an opportunity, how are you actually helping their business in a way that they're like, you bring it to their attention and then they get the light bulb that goes off, that goes, okay, we need to pay attention here. And to me, again, that's where the trunk shows came in, being able to really show that when I do a trunk show, I actually bring customers to your store. And when they come, they don't only buy my brand, they buy other products within this department as well. And it elevates the whole thing. I think that that's really important. Um, I think that there's ways you can do it. There's social media. Believe it or not, a lot of these buyers and things like that, they're not like influencers, right? So they don't have millions of followers, they don't have thousands of followers. A lot of times you wouldn't even know, right? But some of them put it in their bio, but nobody pays it any attention until they need them or want them. They're like, so when I look at some of these buyers, I'm looking at their profiles on LinkedIn and on other social media platforms, and I'm like, nobody's even really commenting on their stuff that they put up or anything. That's an opportunity for you to stand out. You gotta think, a lot of times too, they're like hosting webinars, they're doing different things, and can you engage with that, right? Like, what can you do to just like stand out and not always have to go to a trade show? Then you have the trade shows. And if you have social media, now you know what they look like. You look for people, you try to find them in those crowds and you can like match them up. It's like so many ways versus how it used to be. You didn't know what these people looked
Mhm.
like. You had no background on them at all. Now we have these social media platforms, we can get a lot of background on people and be able to actually make some type of connection. But relationship building is really important, I believe. And then, adding value. Um, and maybe even you add value before you even ask to be in store or do this, just see what ways can you add value, especially if you dominate expertise. So like for me, I am a makeup artist by trade. I'm an esthetician by trade. There's a certain level of expertise I just have around the subject, that still I can render and give, in lieu of, and I have, and it's got me in places, and then I can bring my product with me or what have you. So yeah, it's just all those different ways. I could think of other little strategies that I did, like different models that I knew modeled with JCPenney, for instance. um, I I knew them. I had them model for me, do things with me. So you could just show like that you can work with the people that they have. It's just so many different strategies that are out there that you can utilize.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like really the culmination of that is relationship building.
Mhm,
It is, and I think that's a good representation of just kind of how things work in our greater economy and such.
mhm.
Is it's really all about who you know, who are you connected with, and then if you're not connected with anyone, getting to that connection. And I'm really glad you mentioned like doing things on LinkedIn because I think in a lot of cases, LinkedIn, especially for business and looking to make your mark in the world, LinkedIn is something that still really gets overlooked by a lot of younger generations because they see it as that's the corporate social media. That's all that's good for. It's like, no, that is the professional social media, but it's also where you can make connections with people who you've never met before, who are willing to go to bat for you, who are willing to say, put their name out for you to help get you success. I mean, I look at it from the job market. Like, my brother for years could not find work, and granted, he graduated in the middle of COVID, which made things super difficult. But it wasn't until he like started networking through social media that he actually got offered a role to actually get started and really, get his feet running. I think that's it sounds kind of similar to what you need of or what any small business is needing is once you get the ball rolling, once you get your feet on the ground and moving, then you can find that success and you can start to grow and grow and grow. Um, so let's take a step to the side then. So LAMIK's mission is super important to you. Do you guys actually have a mission statement?
Yeah, so we are here to bring value to women through clean cosmetics. And our motto is beauty is revealed and not applied. So um that just means that, we're all sort of our acronym for LAMIK is love and makeup and kindness. And so we believe that love and kindness is your true makeup because beauty is revealed and not applied. And so, LAMIK is, an affirmation. It affirms you, but then it also reveals you. And so that's the purpose of LAMIK.
That's beautiful. Actually, I think that is fantastic. Because one of the things I was seeing a statistic, I think that you had mentioned before, which is that women of color spend 80% more on cosmetics than
Mhm,
others. And
mhm,
yet only about 10% of the shelf space in beauty stores is actually dedicated to that. And less than that. And like I look at that and I go, I believe it.
mhm,
I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised by it, and I think that's a whole problem on its own.
mhm,
But then many products also that have been marketed to Black women have historically been toxic, have had huge problems. They're not put to the same quality controls that are often put to other demographics, and that's an insane like imbalance. How has that reality shaped your approach then with building LAMIK? Do you feel that the industry is now finally shifting more towards inclusivity, clean products, especially for women of color? Or do we still have a long way to go to actually get to a better standpoint?
yeah, unfortunately, it's getting worse than better.
Really?
Yeah, it was getting better for a second, especially, like, post 2020. But within, like, the last year and a half or so, it's gotten worse, because, 1, the, um, sort of the bar that had been set to bring more, um, brands that can match more women and men, in the marketplace, um, there has not been that drive to make that happen anymore over the past year and a half or so. Like, it was originally like, "Let's get these shelves to 15%, of owners of brands that really represent the customers who are out here buying them." It was just about representation. A lot of times people look at it as only like diversity, but it's actually about representation. It's
Yeah.
the people who have, own the brands, are creating these products for others to be represented in the ownership of the brands, right? And so it was about representation, and that now has sort of like went to the wayside. Like, oh, it doesn't matter who owns it. Oh, it doesn't matter if we have colors and shades for all people. Just figure it out kind of feel is what we feel like we're back now. So it's like it feels we're back in the twilight zone. We were making progress, but that progress has really been rescinded. And um, it's so unfortunate because we're losing out on money. We're losing out on economics. Like we're
Yeah.
losing, like the ecosystem is losing because we literally, McKinsey did a report and they said that there's $2 billion. This is just one report that there's $2 billion just out there to be captured by the market if they will make products that answered the needs of women of color. Just $2 billion just sitting out there. It hasn't even been captured. This is not, oh, it's that we got a mark. This is like, has not even been captured, but nobody is able or nobody, they can't get the solutions. And so with the independent brand like ours, for instance, we might have some of those solutions, but if we don't get on shelves for those customers to see the solution, then, it's hard for them to get to it. And so McKinsey is a huge research, company, and they do this work. So these are real data points. And so it will fuel the economy so much if we were um, actually really democratizing the shelves of beauty, but we're not, and so we're actually going backwards. It was a progression happening, but I've had at least 5 friends that I know over the past year and a half that went out of business because of the rise in tariff costs, um, the rise in fuel now, right? Like
Hmm.
that means that now the travel that they would make in business is going to be way more expensive. That means that getting products, on the ground, everything is just back up, raw ingredients, and then also just the cost of doing business because a lot of programs have sort of been taken away that assisted um, uh, businesses that were coming from disadvantaged points. Now those
Hmm.
disadvantaged points are not being realized, and they're being said, no, nobody's disadvantaged. And it's like, um,
Definitely still are. Um,
so yeah,
oh,
so it's going backwards right now, which is really unfortunate. And to be honest, that's a part of what wakes me up every morning right now too, is because it's like I feel like I'm like in the fight to stay alive, to represent and to give people what really they need.
it sounds like even just like you maintaining the business and staying afloat and being able to be, yeah, a representative of what the industry could look like, of still being able to cater to all skin tones,
Mhm,
but also still having good representation, quality ingredients.
mhm,
I totally understand the cost issue of, yeah, everything is more expensive. No matter what the news says or what, reports from unknown organizations, cost is up. Gas prices are up, raw ingredients, food, groceries, like, and that all plays into how you can run your business. Um, so I just like that's so unfortunate that your friends are suffering like that, and that the industry itself is really regressing in
mm,
that aspect. But I think it is really good then that you are fighting that much harder to make sure that that representation is there. Because that's so critical today to, to make the stand, even if something goes wrong and there's failure, at
mhm.
least you are doing what you can and what you believe in. Because that is a huge aspect to not just to being successful, but representing the fight in yourself and for the community and the culture that you want to represent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more.
That's so frustrating. Like I'm fired up a little bit about it. So let's just talk kind of about your retail mix strategy.
Hmm.
So you said you don't believe in having all your eggs in one basket,
Hmm.
even though you kind of shut down the business that was successful to go all in on LAMIK.
Hmm.
But in that same thing, like today, LAMIK is very diversified. You sell direct online, big box retailers, small boutiques.
Hmm.
You even have your own brick and mortar studio in Houston, right?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa. Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. In Tulsa. You do live events, you have subscription boxes. Like you really, you've kind of got, it sounds like, feelers that have then really grown into firm roots into all these different aspects.
Hmm.
Why was it important for you to spread out into so many channels over the years? And then also kind of a follow-up to that, how do you manage that? Because I know a lot of business owners are probably looking at trying to do a similar thing to you, seeing the success that you've achieved. How do you manage that? How do you make sure that you're not over investing into one, or because that's a lot to take on.
Yeah. Well, I do believe in diversification of distribution. Um, and that is because I have seen where, people have invested only in one area and then that area goes down and then their whole business goes down. And so I like to, one, I am a futurist in regards to, I am very much a person that is always like in the future, like what things look like ahead, like what will, the like what will things look like I'm there. So a lot of times my mix even can include some areas that maybe not may not be the biggest, revenue drivers for us, but it's the future thing. And so I opened up that portal, right? I opened up that area. And so I look at them as buckets. And so I look at them as different streams of income, this omni-channel streams that come and flow right into the business. So none of it is outside of the business. It's just different ways for the customer to get the product that makes sense that we've honed in on. So, for instance, yes, we have a membership within LAMIK that comes with a subscription. But also that serves the purpose of being our community. It's called our LAMIK Society. That's our community. Those are our ride or die customers. That is our panel. If I need to ask the customers and if I need to ask a question to our customers, I'm going to ask that LAMIK Society because they are more likely to answer just like that. It's like LAMIK is a part of their daily lifestyle. Like that.
Okay.
That's what it is, right? And so that's that booster club. You know how you remember you had a booster club in high school? You ever played like play like band or something like that? You played an instrument and y'all had a booster club? That's what the LAMIK Society is. It's just like the booster club for LAMIK, right? So they are the dedicated ones. They pay something more. They order more. That's who they are, right? That's the booster club. Okay, but it's a membership and they pay for that. So it's a revenue stream, right? Then we have our major retailers who we look at as a distribution outlet, but we also look at it as marketing. When you're inside of these major retailers, think about how many people go inside of their space and they see your logo, they see your products, they see other that is advertisement. That's marketing, right? And they host different events inside of their stores. They market your product for you. That's what's happening. So yes, it's distribution, but it's also marketing. But it's through them. They have all the customer data, right? So I don't have that customer data, but I do have distribution and reach through them, right? And then it's real estate that we're taking up inside of those places. And then we have our brick and mortar store. So we start off with this one. We will be growing, but these are the places where these are the LAMIK sort of like content creation spaces. Like we also create content in these spaces. It's the place that we're able to take what happens inside of there, put it on social media to make LAMIK feel realistic because we are in such an AI world that if you don't see the real human, you forget that it's real to a certain extent. And so that part happens there, but we're able to sell, through there. Then we have like our live shopping where you shop with us on a TikTok live or Facebook live or Instagram live. And on those channels, a lot of times we're doing products that are not available anywhere else because we want something different. We're doing some type of show deal. While you watch this live, you get this certain percentage off. It's some type of vantage point to get you to tune in, right? Because now we've captured you in real time. And we find with the live shows that our conversion rates, on our website, our conversion rate is like 2-3%. But on those shows, it's like 30%, right? Conversion rate. What happens when a person actually tunes in. So I say that not to talk too much, but I'm just trying to give examples of how we look at these different channels.
You're not talking too much at all. That is we firstly, we need more voices like yours out there being heard.
Yeah.
But also to kind of, I mean, what I'm hearing or kind of pulling from this is that you would describe none of them as just a revenue stream. They all bring, you look at the value of it, not just from a financial perspective. So you mention using, like you have your subscription group, which is, yeah, that is the LAMIK family. That is the group that you can go to. That is something that a lot of businesses pay tooth and nail to get demographic and input data from their consumers. Um, but then you have, yeah, your lives where that is the cutting edge, like front show, it sounds like, for a lot of your sales. One, to get some new product out there and get the announcements out. Because I was actually going to ask you, when you mentioned Facebook Live, I was like, okay, well, are you still doing just that, or have you expanded to things like TikTok? Because TikTok Shop is, I can't remember the exact statistic, but it is an insane revenue like generator, like GDP generator internationally.
Mhm.
And so I was curious if you were take advantage of that, which it sounds like you are. But
Yeah.
to summarize that, you're really finding what is the value of a partnership or the revenue stream, and what does it do beyond just here's an extra so and so million per year or through the life of this contract.
Yep, absolutely. And there's so much to still explore, um, because there is so many different unique ways and that's what I talk about, like the future, what retail looks like in the future is just so different even from what we're experiencing now. I saw news come out on a shopping channel that was very popular years and years ago. It just filed for bankruptcy. And I'm thinking, well, that's because the way that we consume, we don't look at cable networks anymore like that.
Yeah, it's all streaming.
Yeah. So the way that we consume is just different from our phones and right there in the moment. And to be honest, people still, you know, want what is a way that's making it easier. So, for instance, with our custom blend foundation, you upload a picture and we send you a foundation that matches your skin tone. People are wowed by that every time. It has the most 5-star ratings on our website. But that is something that we have studied skin tones, undertones. We have really studied that to really master that. And then people are able to, we have people that travel into our store to come experience LAMIK in person. And I think that's what will end up happening is that people will, yes, buy digitally. They might be in rural areas where they don't even have access to products that represent them, but they'll go online and it's just as easy to get that. And we want them to have the same experience as someone who can come inside one of our stores or one of our retail outlets and experience it. We want to have to be a mutually um, excellent sort of motivating experience on both sides for us. And that's what we think about as we build LAMIK.
Very, very cool and fantastic. And I do have a couple like kind of quick questions that I wanted to throw your way before we finish up. Firstly, you've experimented a lot, you've tried a bunch of different things.
Mhm.
What, in your experience, was the most expensive mistake that you made? And then as a part of that, what did that teach you?
The most expensive mistake that I made was, um, for some reason, what's coming up to my head is like packaging. Um, I didn't realize, one, that I did not have to get the barcode printed on every package. I could actually use a label and put the barcode on it because some colors might sell more than others. And if you already have a barcode on there that belongs to another color shade, because with makeup, you could have 5 SKUs, but then within that SKU, now you got 25 SKUs of that one because you got 25 different shade variations. And so you got a different SKU on each box, but then maybe you sell more red than blue. And now you've got all these boxes with red and it's costing you now you gotta go. So those are the kind of things, the meticulous little bitty
Mhm.
things in our industry is what costs you so much money
Yeah.
because it's like, dang, I wish I would have known that. I wouldn't have got the barcode printed on every single box. I would just get barcodes printed and just put them on the box.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing of like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be more efficient and just print the barcode directly on. No worries." Not realizing that like, "Oh, this might be a little more efficient in this little one thing, but when I have to reproduce it for tens of thousands, millions of products over years, that's just gonna be a headache to deal with." That
Yes,
and yeah, you're right. It's the kind of mistake that you you make without even thinking about it, of like, that what could possibly go wrong with this?
right.
Well, guess what, buddy? The world's coming to let you know pretty quickly. Um, Fantastic. Okay, and then, so one more question. What is a small change that you made in your life or your career that just had massive, unexpected results? Like what was a choice that you made? And it might just be to do the shift from, the brick-and-mortar store to LAMIK Beauty. But what would you say that is that?
I think that was a good one. Yes.
Sorry, stealing your
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
Thank you, Keenan. Um, but also I would say, probably really moving and going where people want you, like where the opportunity lies, where some would call. When I said I was going to JCPenney, some people were like, JCPenney's still around, JCPenney, da, da, da. And I'm like, I've been in their stores. They always have beauty advisors there. And I have known a lot when I was doing the trunk shows, the same beauty advisors that were there when I was doing the trunk shows the past 2 years still work there today. That's longevity. That means that they're building relationships with the customers who are coming in, right? And so I just say that to say, but it's good that JCPenney had a lot of they had room. They needed brands inside of there, even though they don't take in a lot of brands like they need them. But I knew that it was some white space. And sometimes we try to go with, partners who everybody else wants and the shiny thing. And I think that is, when I made the decision to really go places where I see opportunity or places where they see the opportunity in me, go towards that. Don't just try to go. It's almost like trying to be with the popular kids or something. Like you try to go over here, be in the in crowd. And it's like, why are you trying to be with people who really don't like you or not fond of you anyway? Or you got to try to prove yourself too, rather than go with people who are maybe just more open minded. Yeah, you have to get to know them, they get to know you, but maybe they're just open minded. So that's how I see it now.
That's a great kind of like just lifestyle point of like, are you trying to appeal to, yeah, the popular kids who are kind of rude and they don't respect you? Like, what are you really trying to get from that versus taking a little bit of extra time to meet and find people who want to be a part of life, who want to invest in you as the person that you are and who you want to be. I think that's a fantastic line to kind of finish up on. So, Kim, thank you so much for jumping on and
Thank
speaking to your
you.
experience and everything. I know this is one of the best episodes that I've had the opportunity to be a part of. You've brought so much information here. Where can people find you? Social media? What projects are you working on? Like, where can people get in touch?
Yes. So please, please, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Kim Roxie, KIMROXIE. I love to connect on there. And then for LAMIK, we travel all across the world, across the country. Um, Connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, at LAMIK Beauty, LAMIK Beauty, BEAUTY, and Facebook as well. But LAMIKBeauty.com, if you go there, put in your email address, subscribe, you'll know about the things that are happening that we have going on that you can be a part of. We do a lot of virtual events too. Um, but I think that's the best way. You can find us on Nordstrom.com. If you looking for our product, you can find us on Ulta.com. You can find us on JCPenney.com. And then if you are in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, you can find us in JCPenney stores there. Or if you're in the Midwest, in Kansas and Missouri and Nebraska, you can find us at Hy-Vee stores inside of the store. And then we're in some smaller boutique stores on the East Coast and West Coast that you can find us. But LAMIK Beauty, go to Instagram, go to TikTok, follow us there. And that's going to be the best way. And any way that you see that LAMIK can support you and what you're working on, if anybody's out there listening, please reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kim. And thank you for everyone who watches this. Let us know what you think. Get in touch with Kim, and we'll see you on the next one. Beyond the Register is sponsored by Genius, the modern point-of-sale system from Global Payments designed for retailers. Genius helps you reach your most important goals, whether that's simplifying your operations, tracking inventory, managing customer insights, or taking payments wherever your business takes you. To find out more, visit globalpayments.com/genius.